Hello friends, this is Robert West. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. The topic of this video is what's going to happen in that meeting when Trump meets Putin in Alaska tomorrow. Before we start, I just want to thank all the new viewers to the channel. Really appreciate that. If you're a returning viewer, I appreciate that as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. Feel free to comment, like, share. Now let's get into this video. So I'm hardly Nostradamus, but I have some thoughts on what will happen tomorrow. For the most part, nothing will happen. Now, what do I mean? Well, you have to look at what are the goals of Russia. What are their goals? Are their goals to stop the war? No. Are there goals to broker a ceasefire? No. Are there goals to return Ukrainian children that they stole? No. Is there one and only goal to take as much land as possible from Ukraine and make it Russia? Absolutely. That's their goal. With that in mind, and the actual other party to the conflict, the war, Ukraine, is not going to be there. It just shows a lack of seriousness to stop this war. What I do predict is more distractions and delays by Putin. What do I mean? He may throw something out there that could be considered a gesture. Maybe a prisoner swap, maybe a short pause in the war, maybe even a prisoner exchange. Maybe. But there's not going to be any serious talks about ending the war because he hasn't reached his goals yet. If he had already received, stolen, appropriated the land that he wants, then there would be more of a serious talk. His people that he's using, including his army, mercenaries, North Korean troops, he could care less about. He believes they're all expendable. He's a master at this game. That's who he is. He took Crimea in 2014. And unfortunately, the Ukrainians did not see it coming and did not prepare appropriately to stop it. And that's the way the situation is currently. The Ukrainians are fighting extremely hard. They are getting as many weapons as they can get their hands on. And they are defending themselves incredibly based on what they have available to them. But they do have a home field advantage. They do know the terrain better than the Russians. And that's why the Russians haven't rushed through them as fast as many people have predicted. Now, what is Donald Trump's goals? That is very hard to say. He's been very soft on Russia. He even at one point blamed the Ukraine for the war because, oh my God, they want to join NATO and become part of the European Union. You know, Russia's threats are made up threats. They're made up emergencies. They're made up problems. As long as they're fighting Ukraine, the people do not internalize the real problem in Russia, which is you got a fascist dictator who won't leave office. That's the truth. They're They're given a little sprinkle of freedom, but if you want to do big business in Russia, you have to play ball with Vladimir Putin. What do I mean by that? Vladimir Putin is probably the wealthiest man on the planet. And people will go, oh, no, he doesn't, no, you don't understand. You can't play ball unless you pay the man. He's jailed billionaires. He's made his allies, if he perceives them not to be allies anymore, disappear. He's a brutal dictator. He's a fascist. That's who he is. He plans to die as the president of Russia. But before that, he wants to reclaim as much land as possible and reconstitute the Soviet Union under the name of Russia. That's his plan. Now, what's Donald Trump's plan? It's a mystery. Maybe Trump thinks that if he gets this war settled, there's going to be a Nobel Prize in his future, a Nobel Peace Prize. It's highly unlikely. And the reason why is even the best negotiators, and Donald Trump is not even a good negotiator. He doesn't know anything. Nothing. He even says it all the time. I don't know nothing about this. But of course it is true. He's a micromanager at heart. He manages everything. He controls everything. Everything that goes on at the White House, he controls. Just the way it works. So even the best negotiator, when Russia has no intention of stopping the war, you're not going to get anywhere. It's only when two parties want to stop the war. The only way this war will stop is if Ukraine kicks the living crap out of Russia. And that means they need more weapons to do so. That's just the way it is. You have to make it more painful for them to continue. That's what you have to do. In order to do that, you need more weapons. They're perfectly capable of deploying people. That hasn't been the problem. It's the lack of weapons that's been the problem. And again, Putin will not stop because he hasn't achieved his military goals yet. And the only way to stop him is to deter him from continuing on, to make it more painful. That's why sanctions can work. If the price of oil goes down to nothing and his oil is sanctioned, that's all he has. He doesn't have much of any other industry. If you're in the United States and you go to stores, how many products do you see made in Russia? Okay. Maybe in a Russian specialty store. You go to Walmart, it's going to be made in China, made in Indonesia, made in Vietnam. Vladimir Putin never learned the lesson about the economic power. He's stuck on military power. He's a dinosaur. And that's just the way who he is. And you have to understand him. Unfortunately, the people that work for Donald Trump seem to not understand this guy very much at all, just like Trump doesn't understand him. Most presidents would not meet with Vladimir Putin on American soil. That's supposed to be a great honor reserved for certain types of foreign dignitaries, not invaders. Russia's an invader. There's no other way to explain it. So the things that are going to happen is nothing, maybe a small gesture by Russia. Russia still will not meet with the Ukrainians because they say there has to be preparations. Listen, if Ukraine was kicking the living crap out of these people and they were on the verge of their entire country collapsing, oh yes, they would meet like in 5 minutes. This is why, and many people don't want to arm Ukraine. Many people think it's not good, but here's the thing. They take Ukraine, and they're looking to expand more territory. Maybe Poland, maybe some other countries. If they're stopped now, there's the chances of the United States having to enter a war based on our NATO commitment. And that our NATO commitment, and whether Trump would honor it or not, I don't know. I don't think so. But if you attack one NATO member, you attack all NATO members. And all members must be willing to participate in fighting that attacker. So, many people, they think about 1 inch in front of them. They don't see the big picture. The big picture is we do not want to need to send American troops to fight Russia someday. We don't want to do that for a lot of different reasons. If it was just conventional, I don't think Russia would stand a chance against us. But that's not what they have. They have other types of weapons that, could end the planet, destroy every living human being on the planet. So they have to be deterred properly. And if they are not gaining ground, if they're taking heavy losses, if they can't replenish their supplies to their military, they would have to consider a ceasefire or slowing down their war efforts. That's just the way it is. So I don't think anything really is going to happen. What Trump does, he's a wild card. You never can predict what he's going to do. But had he placed sanctions on the Russians, on their oil, gotten other countries to participate, it would be a lot easier. But he is upset that, or he claims he's upset. I can't say he really is upset, but he claims that he's mad at India, he's mad at China from buying Russian oil. I don't know if we gave those countries an alternative. Right now, we're having issues because of Trump with India and China. In fact, China, the tariffs still have not gone into full effect yet. There's another 90-day pause. What does it tell you? Trump can't negotiate if his life depends on it. He's got idiots surrounding him that are dumb as hell, and they can't actually make any kind of deals. There's been some cheating by China, but those could have been addressed directly and still blowing up the whole system. Because come Christmas season, you're going to see a lot less Chinese products on the shelves in the United States. That's what's going to happen. Because a lot of these products are very low margin products. You raise the tariffs, the taxes, 25, 50% or even higher. The sellers of the goods can't make money. People will not pay that kind of money for those products. So, and China is struggling in some ways because a big piece of their market has kind of dried up. So they're working on creating new markets for themselves, trading with other partners. So, but again, getting back to Russia, nothing's going to happen. Nothing substantial is going to happen because one party for sure, and that is Russia, has not achieved their military goals yet, and they do not want to stop this war until they have done so. That's what Trump does not understand. And the people who work for him are as clueless as well. You know, the smart ones know there's nothing that's going to happen. But this is not a serious attempt at a peace negotiation. This is a performance to make it look like he's trying. There is no reason to meet with Vladimir Putin whatsoever if they're not at that point yet. The sanctions should be on them. Of course, Congress, the Republican Congress, doesn't want to do anything. They want the sanctions, but if the president doesn't go along with it, whatever he wants, they just give him. They've abdicated their responsibilities as congressmen, and they're just turning all over their power to the executive branch. That's what they're doing. So when you say it's Trump, it's not Trump, it's them as well, because they do have powers under our Constitution, and they're failing to exercise them. It's all a big show. It's all a big show, and nothing's going to happen. So, but we shall see. But, you know, I'm sure there's going to be lots of spinning after the meeting, but it'll go nowhere. All right, friends, that's it for this one. If you've stayed with me this long, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I know it can seem like a long video, but this is a serious, serious problem. And frankly, the U.S. government is not taking this situation seriously at all. And that's because who's in the White House? Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It doesn't cost you a penny. Have a good day. We'll see you in the next video.